Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video tonight I am going to be giving you an update on some more transfer news. So I am going to be giving you some additional information regarding Jack Grealish. There is a lot of positivity coming out of the mainstream media regarding Jack Grealish because according to reports, Jack Grealish has agreed personal terms with Manchester United ahead of a summer transfer. So reportedly, Jack Grealish's preference is a move to Manchester United in the summer because I think he's already searching for a house in Manchester. But a variety of clubs have been in for Jack Grealish. Recently, Real Madrid have been in for him. Also, Barcelona have been in for him. I think also Manchester City have expressed their interest in the player, but he's keen on a move to Manchester United. So I think we've actually identified Jack Grealish as our number one priority target for the summer. But I would be excited about the prospect of Jack Grealish playing alongside Bruno Fernandes in our midfield, because I do believe they would complement each other fantastically well. But we have got quite a few players in our agenda who we could go in for in the summer, because more signings are needed at Manchester United anywhere. Obviously, we did reveal though that James Maddison was our preference ahead of Jack Grealish. But of course, as you all know, James Maddison is closing in on signing a new deal with Leicester. So obviously, now it's looking very, very unlikely that we're going to get James Maddison in the summer. But I do like Jack Grealish a lot. He's well proven in the Premier League. Obviously, up until this point, he's spent the entirety of his career with Aston Villa. He's been an Aston Villa player since the age of 6. Obviously, I think he made his senior debut in 2014. I think he also had a loan spell with Notts County, but he is a very, very good player. He can play as an attacking mid, he can also play as a winger, and he is only at the age of 24, so he has still got a lot of years ahead of him. And obviously, Solskjaer did, reveal that he still wants to continue the policy of recruiting young players to Manchester United, but Jack Grealish would dramatically improve our midfield. Jack Grealish, I think, probably, will avoid Aston Villa getting relegation. Don't forget he was key for Aston Villa progressing to the Carabao Cup final. But if reports are to be believed, he has agreed personal terms with Manchester United. Now, I do believe he would cost us in the excess of around £45 million. I think Jack Grealish has got a release clause in his contracts of around £45 million. Maybe he could cost us a bit more than £45 million. He has still got a contract with Aston Villa until 2023. So he's got like 2.5 or 3 years left on his contract. And also, too, I think his current wages at Aston Villa are around £100,000 a week. So if he comes to Manchester United in the summer, Man United will increase his wages by quite a lot, to be honest with you in that. So looking likely, Jack Grealish is going to be our sixth signing under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has already recommended 5 new players in since his arrival at Manchester United. So he's recommended 5 players in 3 transfer windows. Last summer, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer recommended Daniel James in for £15 million. He recommended Anwan Bissaka in for £50 million. And he recommended Harry Maguire in for £80 million. And in the January transfer window, he recommended Bruno Fernandes in, who I think is going to be fantastic for us. I thought he was fantastic on his debut against Wolves before the international break. He gave his own perception on it, and he wasn't really happy with his debut, Bruno Fernandes. And we paid £68 million for Bruno Fernandes, so he's like our 4th most expensive signing. And he's going to be here at least for the next 5.5 years. And also, too, we got Odion Ighalo in, just before the transfer window shut. And we've got him on loan until the end of the season. Obviously, you can say he's a good cover-up for Marcus Rashford. He's also a good alternative to Anthony Martial and that. So, yeah, looking likely, Jack Grealish will be our 6th signing in the summer, and he'll be our 1st signing in the summer transfer window. But like I said, Barcelona and Madrid have been in for him, but he doesn't want to go there. He does basically want to remain in England. But obviously, the main explanation why Jack Grealish wants to leave Villa, because obviously, he wants to, rejuvenate his career and take his footballing career to the next level. Because maybe now he feels as though that, he is too good for Aston Villa, Jack Grealish. But I'd be excited about the prospect of him, coming to Manchester United in the summer. So that's the latest news regarding him. Also, Jadon Sancho, Man United, I think are going to go in for him in the summer. Also, quite a few clubs have gone in for Jadon Sancho. Don't forget Chelsea are in for him. Also, Liverpool have expressed their interest in Jadon Sancho. Obviously, Jadon Sancho is going to cost us a substantial amount. We'll probably have to pay around £100 million to convince Borussia Dortmund to offload him. Analysing it this season, Jadon Sancho has endured a difficult time because he has been dropped in quite a lot of games for Borussia Dortmund, but I think in his first 2 seasons he was very, very good, Jadon Sancho. Obviously, don't forget, he's a former Manchester City player. Never really got his opportunities at Man City, and this is the main explanation why he left Man City to join Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, before he was at City, he was at Watford, so obviously he's had experience of playing in the Premier League and that. He's still got a contract with Borussia Dortmund until 2022. Borussia Dortmund, themselves give their overarching view on it, and, they said they're still uncertain about his future. But even if Jadon Sancho doesn't leave in the summer, even if he doesn't leave in the summer, he will leave at some point in his future. I'm very sceptical from now to the end of his career that he'll spend the rest of his career with Borussia Dortmund. And again, he is only at the age of 19. Predominantly a right winger, but you can also play him centrally. But I'd love Jadon Sancho, to come in to play alongside the likes of Rashford, Dan James and Martial, because I think he'd complement our attacking line. He's a player that would be able to show his goals. He's a player that can create chances. His runs on and off the ball are very, very good. So I think it did say a couple of days ago, like updated, it said, we were the we were leading the race to sign, Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund. But, Borussia Dortmund, would, make a huge profit on the player. They'd make like a £92-93 million profit because they only paid around £7 or £8 million in from Manchester City back in 2017. Back in 2017 and that. So he's another player on our agenda. I obviously know a couple of days ago give you the latest news regarding Lionel Messi. Now, like I said to you, it was coming from Sky Sports. Obviously, Lionel Messi had a dispute with the Barcelona sporting director, Eric Abidal. Now, obviously, that had fueled a bit of a speculation up. And obviously, he didn't only have a dispute with Eric Abidal. He also had a dispute with Marc-Andre ter Stegen. It was a training ground dispute he had with him. And then there was rumours emerging out, not too long ago, saying that Messi could leave Barcelona in the summer. It's not going to happen anywhere because up until this point, Messi has spent the entirety of his career with Barcelona up until this point, and he's still regarded as one of the best players in the world, despite the fact that he is the age of 32, Lionel Messi. But I think there's been up to around 5 or 6 clubs in for him. There's been us in for him. Man City have been in for him. I think if Messi was to come to the Premier League, he would go to Man City because obviously, he's already played under Pep Guardiola's guidance and he'd want to reunite with Pep Guardiola. Been Inter Milan, Real Madrid and PSG and Juventus have been in for Lionel Messi because, he has got a clause in his contract which means he would be available for 3 this summer. But, Messi, very, very good player, like I said, since making his senior debut in 2003 for Barcelona, he has gone to score, 433 La Liga goals in 469 La Liga appearances. So he holds the record for the most La Liga goals, does Lionel Messi. He's also, provided 177 La Liga assists. He's scored like 35 La Liga hat-tricks. He's won 34 trophies as a Barcelona player. And he has won 6 Ballon d'Ors as Lionel Messi. And I think he's actually, the highest paid player in the world, or one of them. Because I think he's on £1 million a week. Or is he on just under £1 million a week, Lionel Messi. But I don't see him leaving Barcelona, to be quite honest with you. And even if he does, I don't see him leaving until, his contract is expired anywhere because he has got like 18 months remaining on his current contract as Lionel Messi. But I don't see that happening, to be quite honest with you. Probably Man City have got more chance of getting Messi, than Man United. But I just don't see, Lionel Messi leaving because there was rumours a couple of years ago saying, that Manchester City, of course, were in for him. But yeah, so that's the latest news regarding the transfers. But like I've said, from my own perception, I think Manchester United need around 3 to 4 more signings this summer if we are to be back to being a competitive elite level football club, and if we are to be up there challenging for major honours and that. Like I've mentioned on my recent videos, despite the fact that we've been inconsistent for the last 6 or 7 years, I still believe, we've got the resources and the backing of the club, to get the right calibre players to Manchester United. But let's be honest, our recruitment's been very, very poor, at least for the last 6 or 7 years. And that's probably one of the explanations why we've been so poor. But there's also a lot of other reasons why we've been so inconsistent because, Man United have made a lot of mistakes. And I don't like the way the football club's been run in the last 6 or 7 years, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But, I did say, didn't I, at the start of this season that I expected us to enjoy a better season this season than what we saw last season. Because last season was a huge disappointment. We finished 6th. Obviously, we didn't win any silverware, and we failed to qualify for the Champions League. And I think we've actually failed to qualify for the Champions League. Is it like 3 times out of the past 6 years? So that just indicates how how inconsistent Manchester United have been. But I don't see us winning the league next season. I don't see us winning the league the season after. I think it's going to take us several years, to get back, to where we do want to be, and that. It's going to take a long rebuilding process. Obviously, we need to see a change of management. We need to see a variety of changes at the football club. Obviously, we need to get rid of Solskjaer. We need to get get rid of Ed Woodward and the Glazers, because a lot of our fans are doubting Ed Woodward, and the Glazers and that, But we need to get them out of the club because a lot of United fans have been protesting Ed Woodward and the Glazers. We've also got to get rid of our current board because our board have been a liability for several years. There's not only problems with the backroom staff and the management, like I mentioned, there's also problems on the pitch. A lot of aspects of our game need to improve, and there's still a lot of deadwood at Manchester United. So you've got to be honest, and despite the fact that a lot of players have left since Solskjaer's arrival, to be fair, we did get rid of a lot of the deadwood last summer. Obviously, we got rid of 2 players this year, which was very, very good. But yeah, so these cultural problems at Manchester United, and we need someone to come in to change the culture of the club, and we need to recommend someone in, whose philosophy would be right for the club. And, we need to get a manager in with a proven pedigree, a manager, to the top level, And I think, Pochettino will be Manchester United's next manager, providing that he doesn't get another job before the end of the season. But I don't, really see that happening. Like I updated you earlier on today, it did say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be sacked or could be sacked as Manchester United manager if we finish out of the top 6 this season, and of course if we fail to qualify for the Champions League and that. So we have basically made it clear. We have definitely made that currently clear. So basically, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is to be given another full season at Manchester United, because this is currently his first full season now, we basically have to get Champions League qualification, and obviously we have to finish in the top 6, because I think the lowest we've ever finished in the Premier League era was 7th back under the David Moyes era, if I'm right. But Solskjaer has been under intense pressure this season. It's because obviously, of how inconsistent we've been. We are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. So up until this point, this is the worst we've ever been in the Premier League era. And since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got the job on a permanent basis, we have lost more games in the Premier League than we've won. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, record is disastrous, but he's too inexperienced as a manager, is Solskjaer. I know he knows the culture of the club and that, he was a great player for us for 11 years, was Solskjaer, and I've got to admire him for that because he was a great player. But I just think as a manager, he is totally comparison. Obviously, Man United is the 3rd club he is managing in his managerial career. Of course, before he was at Manchester United, he was at Molde, won a couple of Norwegian titles with Molde. And before he was at Molde, he was at Cardiff, and he enjoyed a really short tenure with Cardiff. His record at Cardiff was disastrous. I think, very, very bad, his record at Cardiff. I think he only managed like, 28 or 29 games, but the main explanation why he got sacked from Cardiff is because he ended up, getting Cardiff relegated and that. And some United fans did fear earlier on this season that, he could have replicated at Man United what he actually did do with Cardiff, because some United fans were fearing early on the season that we could actually get relegated. We're sitting 8th in the Premier League at the moment, reflecting on Everton's win against Crystal Palace, that put us down to 8th in the Premier League. I think we're like, is it 4, 5, 6 points, above the relegation zone and that. So it just shows you, what a couple of games, can do to the league table. But on the other hand, we are only 6 points behind top 4, surprisingly, and I'm surprised we're in that top 4 race. The only main explanation we're in that top 4 race is because Chelsea have been so inconsistent this season, so that is the main explanation. But it's been infuriating because we've had so many opportunities this season to close the gap on that top 4. We've had so many opportunities, so realistically now, we should be in that top 4, definitely. But I said at the start of this season that our expectations will be to finish in that top 4. I've got the same perception going on to next season. I think our expectations will be to finish in the top 4 and that, but we have got quite a few ambitions this season. One of them's the top 4. Also, you can say the FA Cup's a priority for us now, because that's a chance of getting silverware on the board. And also to the Europa League, chance of getting silverware on the board, plus another route to Champions League football. Definitely in that. But it'd be good, for us, to get some current silverware on the board. But, Solskjaer has got 2.5 years left on his contract with Man United. I'm very sceptical that he will see out his 2.5 years and that, unless, we dramatically improve. I think he'll probably, be gone at the end of the season. Obviously, we'll have to pay something in compensation to get rid of Solskjaer. We'll have to pay probably around... is it £5 million, something like that? But that's still £15 million less than what we paid to get rid of Jose Mourinho, because we paid around £20 million to get rid of Jose Mourinho. But, I've got to be honest with you, I have not seen any improvements under Solskjaer than what I saw under Jose Mourinho, Louis van Gaal and David Moyes. I haven't seen any improvements except the 3 months when he was the interim manager. Because when he was the interim manager, Solskjaer, he did really, really well. The results were good, the performances were good, he exceeded expectations and that. I think he won his first 8 games, His first 8 games, he won 10 games out of 13 in the Premier League, and in total, he won 14 games out of 19 in all competitions. So, reflecting what I did as the interim manager, this is the explanation why Manchester United had given the job on a permanent basis. Obviously, if he hadn't done well as the interim manager, then obviously, wouldn't have given him the job. But we made a mistake giving Solskjaer the job on a permanent basis in the first place, definitely in that. We did make a mistake. But he isn't good enough for Manchester United. And, don't get me wrong, I've got some element of concerns about him. But on the other hand, there's also stuff I do credit Solskjaer for. I think one of the things I credit him for, he's given a lot of the young players their chances this season. And he has got a lot of trustworthy in his, young upcoming players. And, there's quite a few young players, that are, in their first season in the senior squad. You've got Brandon Williams, that's in his first season in the senior squad. And to be fair, Brandon Williams has done really, really well. And got to say now he's a much better solution than Luke Shaw is Brandon Williams. Even though he's inexperienced, and obviously Luke Shaw's more experienced, but Brandon Williams is still my first choice ahead of Luke Shaw. And he's done really, really well as Brandon Williams. So, first choice yet. Mason Greenwood, he's been getting his chances this season. He hasn't been getting enough starts in the Premier League. But, he's made a lot of substitute appearances and, he's been, really making an impact as Mason Greenwood. Greenwood's on 10 senior goals this season in 20-odd first-team appearances, so that's very, very impressive. I've got to be honest with you, at the moment, I think Mason Greenwood is a better solution than Anthony Martial, so I'd play him ahead of Martial, Mason Greenwood, because Martial's been poor in his last 6 or 7 league games at least. Obviously, on the other hand, you've got Odi Ighalo demanding Martial's role. So I probably, would put Odi Ighalo in that number 9 role. And I'd probably drop Martial completely, like I said before. Or I'd put Martial on the left-hand side. Because, that's Martial's predominant position anywhere. Because Martial now is into his 5th season at the football club. and analysing, the vast majority of his tenure, he's been playing on that left. It's only this season he has been playing centrally because at the start of this season, Man United give Anthony Martial that number 9, shirt and that. But yeah, this is what I would currently do. We'll revert back to what I said about the young uns, James Garner. I think, he's played quite a few games this season. He's another midfield option, is he? This is his first season in the senior squad. You've got Chong, first season in the senior squad, but I think Chong is one of the young uns that needs to go. I don't think, Chong has emulated that level as yet. So if we did get rid of him, it would be very beneficial. Angel Gomez, he's not getting any opportunities, and I did say, when's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer going to be convinced to give Angel Gomez his opportunities? You've got Dalot, this in his first season in the senior squad, because last season he was, currently playing for us was Diego Dalot. We did get him from Porto, in the summer of 2018. I can't really have a perception on Dalot at the moment, because he hasn't really had a lot of opportunities. A lot last season he was obviously, playing in more of an advanced role. He was playing as a right winger because last season Young was our first choice right back. I think a few times Dalot played at left back, but Dalot is predominantly a right back. But he's just recently come back from injuries, Diego Dalot, so now he will get, more opportunities. But there is a hell of a lot of young players in the squad that are developing and trying to improve. So that's one of the things I do, credit Solskjaer for. And, but my element of concerns about him, he's tactically naive. He doesn't have a plan A, he doesn't have a plan B, he doesn't really know how to change a game, Solskjaer. And he just doesn't have that winning mentality, he doesn't have that fear factor, and Solskjaer's not going to replicate what Alex Ferguson did at Man United. But on the other hand, don't matter what manager we've got, I don't think we'll ever be the team that we was under Alex Ferguson. That Solskjaer's been here now for 14 months almost, so he has been here over the year. He's been permanent boss for almost 11 months now, so I'd say he's had long enough. But Solskjaer believes from his own perception, if he's given, the right amount of time, he can emulate into the next Jurgen Klopp, and he can build a team like Jurgen Klopp. But I'm very, sceptical that this is currently, going to happen and that. And, obviously, Man United have had a lot of injuries this season, but that's not excusable for how inconsistent we've been. Obviously, we've just got some players that have just come back from injury. You've got Bay that's just come back. Foster Mensah's just come back. So that's a lot of positivity of them coming back. Since they've come back, they haven't played yet, though, Bay and Foster Mensah. Obviously, Tuan Zebe, I think, he's on his way back now, because he's obviously, part of the warm weather training camp in Spain. McTominay's on his way back because he's also part of the warm weather training camp in Spain. McTominay, could be actually, back for the game against Chelsea, which is very, very good news, because McTominay has been a big miss in that midfield for Man United, definitely. And he's one of the players, McTominay, I would be determined to keep. I don't know if it's a long-term solution for us, but he did really, really well before he got injured. Obviously, Paul Pogba, he's currently still out injured at the moment, but I think he's close to returning. Obviously, Paul Pogba is not part of the warm weather training camp in Spain, because of the main explanation, Paul Pogba is continuing his rehabilitation from his ankle injury. Paul Pogba, of course, has sustained quite a few injuries this season. This is why his appearances have been limited. I think Paul Pogba has only played 8 games this season for Manchester United. But this injury he's got now is totally comparison to the one he had earlier on in the season. And, obviously he's had his ankle cast removed. But, I can't estimate an exact date when he will be back, but I think it's sometime this month. So he could be back for Chelsea, or if it's not for Chelsea, could be back for the game against Club Brugge in the knockouts of the Europa League. But it's good, when Paul Pogba and McTominay come back, that will look much better in that midfield. Definitely look much better in that midfield. Paul Pogba's leaving the football club in the summer anyway. He's already, confirmed this is Paul Pogba. He's notified our teammates he's leaving in the summer. And I think he'll either go to Real Madrid or he will go and make a return at Juventus. Could actually, go back to Juventus, because, Paul Pogba did enjoy 4 good years in training with Juventus. But the vast majority of his performances at Man United, being totally comparison, since we bought him for £89 million back in 2016, Paul Pogba, of course, is our most expensive signing. But I think it did say, we've slashed around £30 million off his valuation. So reportedly, we'd want around £150 million for him this summer. Reflecting back last summer, we wanted around £180 million. Real Madrid, of course, were determined to pay that. So this is why, he didn't, leave Man United last summer. But he revealed last summer, Pogba, that he wanted to leave the club, and he did say he was seeking for a new challenge, and he publicly admitted that he wanted to leave Manchester United and that. A lot of United fans have got different perceptions on it. Some United fans would keep Pogba and some United fans, would get rid of him because Bruno Fernandes is the adequate replacement for Pogba, but them two as a partnership in our midfield, I think, would look very, very good. But he is still an imperative player, is Paul Pogba, don't get me wrong. He's only the age of 26. But it was subject to a lot of transfer speculation under Mourinho because he enjoyed a poor relationship with Jose Mourinho, did Paul Pogba, so take that into account. Barcelona were in for Pogba before, but he doesn't want to be at Manchester United, so he's one of the players that's definitely, going in the summer. Rashford obviously isn't going to be, he's not being part of the warm of a training camp because he's obviously out with a back injury, Rashford, and he's going to be out for at least the next couple of months. So Man United have had quite a lot of injuries this season. But yes, revert back to what I said earlier on in the video, there's players that need to leave Manchester United in the summer. I think obviously, 9 senior players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, but I think the players that need to go, like I've mentioned, I think, Phil Jones needs to be moved on. He's now into his 9th season at Manchester United, Phil Jones. He's had some good spells as a Man United player. You can say he's good there as a backup, but you can say the same thing regarding Alex Tuanzebe, Bay and Fosu Mensah. They're also good as backups to Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire, because Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire are our first choice centre-backs. And I think they've done really, really well together for the vast, majority of our games this season. Vast majority of our games this season and that. But, I've got a lot of element of concerns about Phil Jones. Sustained quite a few injuries as well. As a Manchester United player, but Bay is also very injury prone and that. So would you get rid of Bay in the summer, reflecting on the amount of injuries he's had? He's not a bad player, Bay, because when he's fully fit and when he plays, his distribution's good. He can play the ball well out from the back, but he's just always injured, is Eric Bay, and that's where the only current problem. Matic, I thought he did well against City in the Carabao Cup semi-final second leg, but he's too much of a liability still. He's too slow in that midfield. Manchester United overpaid for him. We paid £40 million for Nemanja Matic. He's proven in the Premier League, but I just think he's too slow. Plus he's aging up, so yeah. But obviously we can lose him on a free transfer in the summer because that's when his current contract expires, unless we can find some way of extending his contract, Nemanja Matic. I'd definitely get rid of Jesse Lingard because he's also a liability. Like I mentioned the last time I read about Jesse Lingard, Atletico Madrid and Roma were in for him. Lingard up until this point has spent, the entirety of his career with Man United. I know he's had quite a lot of loan spells. He had one with Leicester, Birmingham, Brighton and Derby. But he's had some good spells as a Man United player, but at least in the last year or so, he has been very inconsistent as Jesse Lingard, and I've got a lot of element of concerns about him now. It doesn't matter regarding the usage of the player, whether you put him in the number 10, which I think is his predominant position, or whether you put him on the right. He's too much of a liability now, is Lingard. Last year, didn't score 1 goal or register 1 single assist. And when reflecting on a number of years he's been here, Lingard, and reflecting on his status at the club, he should be putting much more better performances out. But I think we're becoming infuriated with him now. Jesse Lingard. Andres Pereira, we've got the same perception on him. He's also a liability. We've overplayed Andres Pereira this season, but I think the only reason why he's been playing a lot is due to the absence to Scott McTominay. So I would, get rid of Andres Pereira. Martial, don't really have a perception on him at the moment. If he continues his bad vein of form, then, I would definitely get rid of him in the summer as well. So these still more players that need to leave Manchester United without a shadow of a doubt. But like I mentioned, the still players I would be determined to keep. I'd keep the 3 signings that were recommended in last summer. I'd keep Rashford. I'd keep McTominay. I'd keep Fred. Because I think... Because I think Fred, recently rejuvenated himself, to be fair. So I would, definitely keep Fred. keep Lindelof. You know, probably still keep De Gea, even though he hasn't been so good in the last year or so. Yeah, so these two players I would, definitely keep at Manchester United without a shadow of a doubt. And, but like I said, Solskjaer will still be here until the end of the season. Because obviously, if we recommended Pochettino in now, obviously, Tottenham then would be entitled to £10 million in compensation. But Pochettino does remain interested in taking the Manchester United job. If we recommend Pochettino in, he will be our fifth permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era and that. But yeah, we need to get him in. We'll stick with Solskjaer till the end of the season. I do believe we will get Mauricio Pochettino in. Atletico have been in for him recently, like he updated you on. Munich were in for him early on this season. Real Madrid have been long admirers of him. But he will be Manchester United's next manager. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel if you do. Consider subscribe as always. And take care. God bless. See you all again soon.